imposter syndrome
Yep.
and being a young professional and wanting to pivot my career. I'm in sales and wanting to pivot into a more marketing realm, and just how to combat imposter syndrome.
By realizing that imposter syndrome is actually just a fancy word for insecurity.
Yeah.
Like, and then saying, I'm insecure because these life events. This is how my mom or dad rolled. This is what happened to me at 12. This is my DNA because I'm like my grandma. And then saying, cool, that's life, comma, nobody's better than me. I'm just authentically candid of like, I want to be in marketing. I want to take my at-bats. When somebody says no to me, that's not bad. It's actually understandable. I'm going to try 113 times. Somebody's eventually going to say yes. And then I'm going to try. When I'm trying, oh crap, this company didn't set me up for success. I quit or they fired me. And that also doesn't mean I suck or I can't. I just need to go back to the well, because that's only one example of me getting at bat. Self-esteem and self-awareness are the two biggest things that I actually speak about in a million different ways. And so, Kayla, literally, imposter syndrome. Yep. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. So, imposter syndrome is just, it's kind of like perfection, right? It's an excuse. And not a bad excuse. It's a packaging. It's a merchandising to make something palpable. You just have to recognize that you have insecurities about this jump, and that's super okay. I have insecurities about being on top of tall buildings. I had insecurities of kissing girls in high school. Like, everybody has insecurities, right? And so that's cool, but it's not gonna change whether it's gonna be good or bad or indifferent. What it is gonna do is make you not do it. And you've got to realize, much like swimming or riding a bike or kissing someone or making love for the first time, or all the things that we all go through in life, we make them scary in our head, and then they're not scary after you do it.
Awesome, thank you.
Does that make sense, Kayla?
Yes, it does.
Like, do you have a sense? Like, does that land? Like, you're like, yep. Like, that's like, do you get that?
I do, because I definitely think it's rooted in insecurity.
Right, and so somebody told, like, I don't want to go into like cry session, but like, it, maybe somebody told you your whole life that you weren't good enough or you couldn't. Maybe society, maybe your mom. That's just life. That happens to a lot of people. That's the reality of it. But you have to realize, and for everybody here, all 2,000 of you, right? This is very important. If you think you're shit or you're not good enough or you can't, that was somebody else putting that in your mind. Like it's actually just genuinely not true. Now, that doesn't mean you can do anything, but you need to try, because you actually don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Kayla?
Hi, Gary. Yes. Sorry. I agree 100,000%. It's just kind of going deep into.
Like, what's the worst that can happen, Kayla? They say no, you're not good enough, so you go to the next person. It's no different than Dylan earlier.
Right. Thank you, and I appreciate that.
I hope you have a great day. Listen, we really, really, really have to get into a place where we look at no as a motivator, not as a indicator to us not being good. Two things. Never sell the unsellable. So if you walk into a meeting where you're trying to convince somebody to work with you and they harp on that, you convert it into a friendship, karma, acquaintance meeting, not a potential client meeting, and you potentially even cut the meeting short, and then you move on to the next. I mean, you are literally talking about millions of people that could potentially be your clients, and you're over focusing on the no's instead of spending your time finding the yeses. And as you know, I would argue that all the conversations you've had, on a bad day, it's 50-50 if people give a fuck versus don't, right?
Yes, even less, I think.
I think so too, which is why I was saying on a bad day, right? So to me, this is a non-conversation. There's too many people that are willing to work with you without the bullshit paper as a justification, that you dwelling on it, even this question was a bad use of time already to that theory. I've sold things that nobody believes in my whole life. I need to have a website. I'm selling New Zealand, Spanish, and Australian wine. I believe in Google AdWords versus direct mail and print. I believe in this YouTube show. I believe in Twitter. I believe in Instagram. I believe in social media. I believe in voice. I believe in podcasts. My whole life, I've been selling, quote unquote, things that nobody believes in. Sports cards. Everybody literally laughed at me 3 years ago. Right, Dylan? I don't spend time trying to convince. Don't spend time trying to convince. Oh, that's a non-starter for you. It was really nice to meet you, Tyrone, Sally, Ricky Thompson. Move on.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Like, what's the punchline here? Like, convincing the unconvincible is a waste of your time. I would get to it early, and not in like a dick way where you're like, hey, do you give a shit about, like, somewhere in the first 5-10 minutes of whatever time you're committing, get a sense if that's a roadblock. And if it is, I would start a referral business and say, hey, you should talk to my homie Sarah. She's incredible. She is actually certified. The end.
Yeah, you're right. And I think what I do so far is I've been listening to a lot of what you've been talking about over the last couple of years. So what I do is I do some stuff for free, right? And I think, I can credit.
Yeah, but I'll be first of all, I love that, and thank you, but I really want you to get home on, don't do something for free to somebody because they don't validate you because you don't have a degree. Like, now you're just trying to convince somebody. Don't convince anybody, Dylan. The internet is a platform of opportunity, period, end of story. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I can answer for you?
Yes, let me bring it home. I feel like this miracle story is just that, and it is almost bringing to life everything that you preach. I mean, it truly is. It was I worked quietly, I worked patiently, I didn't tell anyone what was happening during the summer, and then it paid off. I am curious if there is a way. I feel like I'm not leveraging the story because I feel like I'm sitting on something here that could convert.
You just need to do what you did the first time. You need to put out content around the story. You need to go to LinkedIn right now, and I don't know if you're a good writer, and write, 6 paragraphs of, let me tell you a story of a COVID layoff, right? You need to,
Gary,
yes.
I did. I actually posted, and again, fueled by inspiration by you about being candid and vulnerable and documenting the process. I posted a story and I titled it A Series of Events.
I love that title. May, let me tell you something. Do you know how many times I've told the world about my lemonade stands and sports cards story?
I know, because I've heard them a lot.
Right. So I think where you might be getting caught, and a lot of people get caught, is I think you need to tell the story in written, video, and audio form every day, 3 times a day for the next 98 days. DM 7, you got it. DM every single events podcast, even if they have 41 listeners, and go on for 30 minutes and tell the story, and ask them for the video footage, and then chop it up and then post it on your Instagram. Write another LinkedIn article, more around being laid off during COVID, because that's more of a title that will get organic reach. Like, this is just reps. What you basically just said to me is, Gary, right, May? You just said to me, Gary, I have not been eating well my whole life, and Thursday I ate clean and worked out. I'm like, that's good, May. Now let's do it for the rest of our fucking life.
For sure.
Got it?
Absolutely.
Cool.
It, for sure.
What's the best way to approach gamers and introduce the healthy lifestyle and basically start to direct them into the position that they start thinking about health outside of the gaming itself?
That's smart. I think that's actually a really good idea. A niche around health, like physical health lifestyle, from an eating and exercise standpoint for the gaming community, is a really good idea, given that they sit all day. It's content and reaching out. It's producing videos, audio, written words on the 10 platforms that matter. And then it's sending direct messages to 10,000, 10 platforms, 10,000 direct messages, right? Make content for as many platforms as you can, whether that's 1 or 10, preferably 10, but that, takes time and talent. And then reach out to people and say, hey, I think you're incredible at Twitch, or I love your Call of Duty skills, or your 2K's this, or this, that, the other thing. But I really think you should check out this video. and maybe you send them the best performing organic YouTube video that you've put out around the subject matter. The whole world is based on content and outreach and distribution and awareness.
Yes, I agree. I've been reaching out much more right now since our concept changed, since we've been going much into office corporate economics. I actually communicated at some point with your HR people.
That's awesome.
Pandemic hit, so I couldn't get to you.
That's awesome.
I spoke with Sky.
Right. So the fact that you got to Sky at VaynerMedia, who gets bombarded by my fans 3,000 times a day, means that you're well on your way. Just make a lot of content.